What makes people follow certain leaders while ignoring others? Why do some companies inspire loyalty even when their products cost more? And why do movements led by people like Martin Luther King Jr. change history, while others disappear? According to Simon Sinek, the answer is simple. Great leaders start with why. Not with what they do, not with how they do it, but with why they exist. And understanding this single idea can completely transform your business, career, leadership style, and even your personal life. Today, we're breaking down the powerful lessons from Start With Why by Simon Sinek. Let's begin. The Golden Circle. Simon Sinek introduces one of the most powerful business concepts ever created, the Golden Circle. It has 3 layers: why, how, out. What most people and companies communicate from the outside in. They start with what. We make computers, we sell shoes, we provide services. Then they explain how they do it. But inspired leaders do the opposite. They start with why. Why do they exist? What do they believe? What bigger purpose drives them? Only after that do they explain how and what. Here's the famous Apple example from the book. Most companies would say, "We make great computers. They're beautifully designed and easy to use. Want to buy one?" But Apple communicates differently. Everything we do, we believe in challenging the status quo. We believe in thinking differently. The way we challenge the status quo is by making beautifully designed, easy-to-use products. We just happen to make great computers. Same product, different message, completely different emotional impact. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. And that changes everything. Biology explains leadership. Sinek says the Golden Circle actually matches how the human brain works. The outer part, what, connects to the rational brain. That's where we process facts, numbers, and features. But why connects to the limbic brain, the part responsible for emotions, trust, loyalty, and decision-making. That's why people make emotional decisions first and justify them logically afterward. Think about it. Have you ever bought something expensive even though cheaper options existed? Why? Because you connected emotionally. The same thing happens with leadership. People don't follow leaders because of titles. They follow leaders because they feel inspired. And inspiration comes from purpose. This is why some teachers change students' lives. Some coaches build legendary teams. Some CEOs create cultures employees never want to leave. They lead with belief, not commands. The law of diffusion of innovation, one of the smartest ideas in the book, is called the law of diffusion of innovation. Sinek explains that society is divided into groups: innovators, early adopters, early majority. Late majority laggards. Innovators and early adopters are driven by belief. They don't just buy products. They buy ideas. And when these people believe in your why, they spread your message naturally. This is how movements grow. This is how brands become communities. And this is how leaders create momentum. Think about Tesla. Think about Nike. Think about great YouTube creators. Their audiences feel emotionally connected. People support them because they represent something bigger. According to Sinek, success happens when you reach the tipping point. Around 15 to 18% of believers. Once enough people believe in your why, growth becomes unstoppable. Martin Luther King Jr. and the power of why. One of the most powerful examples in the book is Martin Luther King Jr. Dr. King didn't say, "I have a plan," he said. "I have a dream." Millions of people followed him, not because he was perfect, not because he had all the answers, but because people believed what he believed. He stood for justice, equality, freedom, hope. People traveled across the country to hear him speak, not because he forced them, not because he paid them, because they shared his why. This is the true power of leadership. Great leaders don't manipulate people, they inspire people. Manipulation may create short-term action, but inspiration creates loyalty. That's why discounts, fear, pressure, and promotions only work temporarily. Purpose creates lasting impact, trust and authenticity. Another major lesson from the book is authenticity. Sinek says, authenticity means your what and how consistently prove your why. In simple words, your actions must match your beliefs. If a company says it cares about customers but treats them badly, people notice. If a leader talks about teamwork but acts selfishly, trust disappears. People can sense inconsistency. That's why authentic leadership matters, and trust is built through consistency over time. This applies everywhere: schools, businesses, friendships, families, YouTube channels, online brands. When people trust your why, they stay loyal. That's why some creators survive algorithm changes, some businesses survive competition, and some leaders survive crises. Trust becomes stronger than circumstance. Start with why in your own life. So how can you apply this idea? Start by asking yourself, why do I do what I do? Not what job do I want, but what impact do I want to create? Maybe your why is helping people grow, creating freedom for your family, inspiring students, solving problems, building something meaningful, changing your community. When you know your why, decision-making becomes easier. Motivation becomes stronger. Confidence becomes clearer. Because you stop chasing random goals, you start building a mission. And people naturally connect with missions. Whether you run a business, create content, lead a team, or simply want a meaningful life, start with why. Simon Sinek's message is simple but life-changing. People don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Great leaders inspire action because they communicate purpose. And in a world full of noise, features, and competition, purpose becomes your greatest advantage. So ask yourself today, what is your why? Because once you discover it, you stop chasing attention and start inspiring people. If you enjoyed this summary, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who wants to become a better leader. And remember, those who inspire others always start with why.